even better. In 2025, Kentucky State Parks achieved record improvements in guest experience. Last year, our parks received nearly 61,000 guest surveys, a 392% increase from 2024. And those surveys showed higher overall guest satisfaction. The Net Promoter Score, a key indicator of guest satisfaction, increased to a level which puts us in the excellence category on their scale. Our state parks have worked really hard over the past few years, investing millions of dollars in renovations and upgrades, some of which will come online this year. Other parts will come online next year. Last year, we also introduced new digital tools to make it easier to navigate our state parks and to communicate with staff in real time. These improvements have made visiting our state parks a better experience, and we've got the feedback, the receipts, to prove it. One thing that stood out above all in the guest feedback was the kindness of our park staff members. Time and time again, visitors reported that it's our people who make our Kentucky State Parks really special, make them feel like home. We haven't stopped there. Our state parks have also taken a major step forward in guest and staff safety by installing new security cameras at park front desks and other areas. Installations have been completed at 15 state parks, with work underway at 3 more. These improvements are going to help everyone feel welcome, safe, and cared for while they visit. Thank you to our incredible state parks team for all of your work. Next, while we continue to make record investment in economic development, roads, and bridges, Team Kentucky's also focused on ways to strengthen our state's railways. Today, we're awarding $3 million to railroads and local governments for 9 projects in 7 counties. These upgrades are critical to the safety and efficiency of Kentucky's transportation network. Nearly $1.4 million is going to 2 projects in Louisville and Owensboro. One will rebuild and reactivate 6,400 feet of industrial track in Jefferson County, and the other will help the Owensboro Riverport Authority pave an access road and create a designated area to store, load, and unload rail cars. In addition, $1.6 million will help 3 railroads and 1 county fiscal court improve safety in central and western Kentucky. Awardees include Paducah and Louisville Railway, Norfolk Southern and R.J. Corman, and the Bourbon County Fiscal Court. These improvements range from signal and light enhancements at railroad crossings to adding features to improve traffic flow. By making these investments, we're not just improving rail service and public safety, we're creating new opportunities to attract business. When companies see a state committed to strong infrastructure, they choose to invest here. That means more jobs for communities and helping our communities grow. All right, Kentucky, we've got great news on additional progress to provide safe medical cannabis to eligible Kentuckians. Today, Team Kentucky approved our first processor, Bison Infused, in Dayton. This will result in multiple products being available in the coming weeks for eligible Kentuckians. Locations include the Post Dispensary in Beaver Dam. That site has opened last month. That is a dispensary. That was the first fully approved and licensed medical dispensary in the state. We also expect the Speakeasy to open this month. That's a dispensary that's located in Lexington. Bluegrass Canacare in Boone County has been approved to operate, and it'll open once additional product becomes available. Our priority is ensuring Kentuckians suffering from serious medical conditions like cancer, PTSD, or multiple sclerosis can have access to medical cannabis as soon as possible. And today's announcement about the first processor coming online means we now have operations in every level of medical cannabis. We have the cultivators, we now have a processor, and we have dispensaries. This should greatly speed up product coming to dispensaries around the state. And I know it feels like that it's taken a long time, but the rules were very specific about how it had to be grown, how it had to be processed if it was going to be in certain products, how our dispensaries needed to be safe. And while none of us are satisfied that there is not more product there yet, what we have done is to create a highly regulated, safe system that's going to operate pretty smoothly as product comes online. And I think in this first quarter, you are going to see a significant increase in the number of dispensaries that are open with product on the shelf. And remember, as each of these cultivators get up to having full crops, that's going to be a continuous supply that's going to be coming in. So this year, we won't just see the start of medical cannabis, which we did in the last month of last year. I think we will see full operation. I'm hoping by the middle maybe of this year. You know, this was a promise we made. This is a promise we're keeping. Having a processor online, which may be the largest investment that's required in this system. Remember, these are pretty significant operations. I'd encourage those interested to learn more about them. Some of them are tens of millions of dollars of investment that go in to make sure, again, that we're processing this in a safe way where the level of THC is controlled inside of each product. In the end, I think we're going to be proud of what we've created. For those that are frustrated with more product not being available, remember my executive order is still in place. If you follow that order, you follow all those pieces, you can purchase medical cannabis in other states, and you can use it here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We'll keep working until we have it all up and running. And then finally, on my end, before I turn it over to Lieutenant Governor, I wanted to give an update on Connect. I believe health care is a basic human right, and Team Kentucky works hard to ensure everyone in the Commonwealth has access to affordable, quality coverage. As you all know, I think it's wrong for Congress to vote yes to extend tax cuts for the wealthy, but vote no to extend tax credits to help hard-working Americans afford health care. ACA tax credits made the coverage plans available through Connect more affordable, but without them, it's going to cause a significant burden on our people. These decisions by Congress have made things more difficult and more expensive. That's why I've proposed in my budget $100 million to help Kentuckians that are securing coverage through Connect. It's my hope that the General Assembly will not only act on that, but we could go ahead, if we so choose, and add it to this current budget and make it available as soon as the General Assembly would be willing to move it through. But I am proud that through this time, where the sticker shock on Connect, like anywhere else, may have hit people, that our team members on Team Kentucky have stepped up. Since November 1st, the Kentucky-based Marketplace Contact Center has answered more than 85,000 inbound calls, with most callers waiting only seconds to speak to a live representative. These folks also made over 12,700 outbound calls to households that are facing monthly premium increases of $100 or more. They looked at all the data and they said, who is going to end up paying that much more? And let's call up and let's talk to them. Our connectors help connect those folks with an independent licensed insurance agent that could help them review all their different options for 2026. We know the costs are too high, and we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to help. Through this work, our team has contacted 4,400 households and left voicemails for the remaining households that couldn't be reached directly. Local connectors have also hosted more than 1,600 outreach events and enrollment events since open enrollment began on November 1st, 1,600 November 1st through today. I'm really proud of these folks. I'm really proud of these state employees and others who believe in healthcare so much they're willing to go the extra mile, knowing that our federal government are leaving our people behind. But we, here in Kentucky, want each of those individuals to find some form of coverage. As an update, as of January 6, 2026, 88,000 individuals have selected and enrolled in a qualified health plan for 2026. Now it's about 100,000 the year before. So you can see a direct impact of Congress's refusal to extend those tax credits. Of the 88,000 individuals that have selected and enrolled in the plan, 12,045 are new enrollees, 10,558 of the former plan have canceled coverage for 2026. And what we're seeing is people are downgrading plans. And that means they'll have less options in this coming year because of Congress's refusal to act. Connect has been an investment in the health of our people. It's helped our uninsured rates drop, and our state has even moved up in Americans' health rankings. As a reminder, open enrollment ends January 15th, and I'd encourage everybody, you need coverage. You can't roll the dice. Don't be one injury away, one sickness away from losing it all. So please call one of our people, work with them. I know it's tougher, and it's not right that it costs you that much more this year, but we are working really hard. I'm doing everything I can, pushing our General Assembly, asking our General Assembly, prodding our General Assembly to be there for you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over now to the Lieutenant Governor.
Good afternoon. So as the governor mentioned in his State of the Commonwealth address last night, the American dream is rooted in hope, but it can be extinguished through fear. So public safety is everyone's job, a job where we work together, where we not only make our people safer, but we work to make them feel safer at all times. Too many Kentuckians have faced the trauma of being a victim of violent crime. And that's why we're doing everything we can to increase access to victim services across Kentucky. And today, we're announcing that applications are opening for a grant program that supports victims of crime in the Commonwealth. On Monday, applications will open for $4.8 million for crime victim service providers across Kentucky. Eligible recipients include prosecutors' offices, law enforcement agencies, and nonprofit organizations that offer direct services to victims of crime. This includes folks who have suffered abuse, assault, domestic violence, and human trafficking. We will not stop fighting and working until every Kentuckian is safe from violence. Thank you to all the organizations across Kentucky who do this hard work. I know that it's emotional and difficult, but your effort saves lives. I encourage any eligible organization to apply before the portal closes on February 13th. Let's keep working together to continue building a safer new Kentucky home. And next, I have a quick reminder that we are inviting folks to join us in Louisville at the Kentucky Center Baumhard Theater on Thursday, January 15th at 7 p.m. for a special screening of Rising, the documentary from Team Kentucky that tells the story of strength and resilience of Eastern Kentuckians following the deadly 2022 floods. You can learn more by visiting the link on the screen, rising.ky.gov. And there you'll find event ticket links, more information on the documentary, and information on how you can donate to the Team Kentucky Emergency Relief Fund. And it's also really important to note that all proceeds go directly to disaster survivors from across our Commonwealth. So now I'm going to turn it over to the First Lady, Brittany Beshear.
Good afternoon. This Sunday, January 11th, is Human Trafficking Awareness Day. Across the United States and around the globe, as many as 27.6 million men, women, and children are victims of human trafficking. It tears families apart, leaves victims fearful and hopeless, not knowing where to turn or whom they can trust. Our faith teaches us that we are called to protect the most vulnerable. One of my top priorities as Kentucky's First Lady is helping end human trafficking in every awful form that it takes. I'm proud to serve on the Advisory Council for the National Coalition for the Prevention of Human Sex Trafficking. Through that board, I have seen that knowledge is power. The more we understand trafficking, the more action we can take to help our neighbors. It takes all of us working together to raise awareness about this crime and educate ourselves on how to recognize the signs and to take action. The Human Trafficking Hotline website has information on how to recognize signs that someone may be a victim of trafficking, recognize common tactics used by traffickers to lure people in, and how to seek help for yourself or someone you know. You can contact the Human Trafficking Hotline 24/7 by calling or texting the numbers on the screen. 1-888-373-7888. Text 233-733. Remember, it's always better to be overly cautious when a situation seems off. Today, I also want to highlight Team Kentucky's efforts to support victims of human trafficking and to hold offenders accountable. As Andy announced earlier, applications will soon open for the grant funding through the Federal Victims of Crimes Act. This helps organizations supporting victims of crime, including human trafficking. As Attorney General, Andy created the Office of Child Abuse and Human Trafficking Prevention and Prosecution, where a historic level of child predators were arrested during his term. He also created the Survivors Council, which provided a way for survivors of violent crime to have a voice in their government. And earlier this year, Andy proudly signed legislation that makes sexual extortion a felony in Kentucky. Team Kentucky is working to ensure children, families, and schools can identify this rising danger in the internet age and have the necessary resources to prevent it. This upcoming May, the Commonwealth will work with the National Coalition for the Prevention of Human Sex Trafficking to launch a statewide anti-trafficking awareness campaign ahead of the Kentucky Derby. Sadly, we know that large celebrations and events can be a hotspot for human trafficking. So we want to make sure everyone who attends these events can recognize the signs of trafficking and how to report it. These issues can feel overwhelming, but when we work together and we learn together, I know we can make a difference. We can make sure everyone in our communities is educated about the warning signs. If we see something, we have to say something. Together, we can stop the stigma and remind people it's okay to ask for help. Together, we can make sure survivors have the resources they need to heal. With that, Andy is officially proclaimed this Sunday, January 11th, as Human Trafficking Awareness Day in the Commonwealth. I also want to talk about the Kentucky Blood Center. They've reported a blood shortage following the holiday season. In particular, type A negative and O negative are in low supply. Each year, Andy and I have hosted multiple blood drives to help spread awareness of the benefits of giving blood. Next month, on February 12th, we're hosting a blood drive here in Frankfort. These donations save lives. Right now, we need Kentuckians to step up and donate. Please visit kybloodcenter.org or theredcross.org to find a place to give blood. Kentuckians who step up can help their neighbors during their greatest moments of need. Whether it's a health emergency, cancer treatments, or following a natural disaster like so many of our communities have faced, these donations truly make a difference, and they truly save lives. That's why this week we're recognizing those who roll up their sleeves as this week's Team Kentucky All-Stars. I've been amazed by the kindness of so many stepping up to donate. Over the years, we've hosted a number of blood drives. There is always a room full of people who are ready to give. This is the spirit that makes Kentucky so special. So to everyone who has donated or is making plans to, thank you. We are grateful and proud to celebrate your efforts as Team Kentucky. And now I'm going to have Andy come back up, and he will answer all of your questions.
I told Brittany she was welcome to take the questions. She passed. Now on this first Team Kentucky update of the year, we'll open it up to questions. We have 3 journalists with us, 4 that are on the line, and 1 that's been submitted. So we'll start with Karen Czar.
Governor, one, a bill has been filed to ban immigrant citizens from holding local offices. Would you veto that? Would you support that if that passed? Also, do you have any comment on the fatal ice shooting in Minnesota?
So I haven't read the bill. My first question is just constitutionality, and that's something that anybody should look at because typically the requirements for any office are set out by the Constitution. When we look at what happened in Minnesota, it was foreseeable. It's preventable. It's tragic. And the response by this administration is grossly irresponsible. It's foreseeable because this administration is encouraging ICE to act aggressively across the nation. They're celebrating the very aggressive and sometimes violent takedowns and raids. They are putting out videos of people's wrists and legs being shackled. They are going and tweeting when elected officials are arrested by asking questions or wanting to see a detention center. I've never seen a government agency push a group of law enforcement to be as aggressive and use the words of aggressiveness that I have with what is being pushed out there on ICE. It's also tragic. This is a 38-year-old single mother that leaves, I think, a 6-year-old orphan. who was killed in the middle of a subdivision in Minnesota. And given that this is an officer-involved shooting, what has happened in virtually every other scenario is we say we need to make sure we get through this investigation because each one has to be investigated by law enforcement. But what do we see from this administration, including the ultimate boss of ICE, Kristi Noem? Before any investigation had even started, she called this 38-year-old single mom a domestic terrorist without getting the results from law enforcement. President Trump's already gone on the record calling her the aggressor. This is a U.S. citizen. That's supposed to be her president. In all of these, the responsible thing to do is to let the investigation play out, even when tensions are heightened. And I've lived through this. You have to let the facts ultimately speak for themselves out of the investigation. And I think the American people are seeing these aggressive tactics, not to this level, but aggressive tactics more so than you see from any other law enforcement. I mean, where else do we see somebody grabbed, thrown in the back of a vehicle, taken to another state, and only then do they say, oh, we should have checked your papers closer, you're an American citizen, and then released. Or you're here legally, and then released. I mean, number one, we've got to go about this entirely different than we are right now. Yes, we need secure borders, but how we enforce our laws shows our humanity or lack of it. And this administration is definitely showing a lack of it. But to all those officers out there, they take oaths of office. They're required to follow the law. I'd encourage them to do their job the right way, right? They're not a member of the military. They are a member of a form of law enforcement inside the United States. And I wish that 38-year-old mom was still with us, because now that 6-year-old, who I think lost her dad or the male figure in her life not long before, is going to grow up without either of them. All right, McKenna.
Thank you, Governor. Yesterday, there was a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit filed in Jefferson Circuit from a Louisville resident who has 3 felony convictions in Indiana. He's seeking that you restore his voting rights, much like the 2019 executive order. Do you have any reaction to that lawsuit, and have you given further consideration to?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. This is the first time I've heard about it. So when I became governor, on my second or third day, I signed an executive order that automatically restores voting rights to all nonviolent felons, all felons that did not commit sex crimes or certain other potentially election-related crimes. Happens automatically when their sentence is completed. If it is that type of offense that he's looking to restore his voting rights for, from Indiana, that's something that I'd at least be willing to consider and take a look at. You know, especially folks that didn't leave a lasting scar and trauma on a family, didn't commit a violent crime. No, that's something that we can certainly take a look at. Piper.
Thank you, sir. In a roundup last night of your administration's economic development successes, you mentioned Ford's investment at the Louisville Assembly plant, but not the situation at the local.
Mm-hmm.
You heralded that project for a long time as one of your wins, and it's changed in a major way. Senate President Robert Stivers called it the biggest boondoggle of economic recruitment in the state's history. I'm interested to hear your response to that comment, and anything that you can tell us about the progress of what's happening down there.
Yeah, the what was Blue Oval, which will now be a large-scale Ford battery storage plant, will still be an enormous win. It's just going to take a little longer to get there. Remember, a $7.8 billion plant would still be the single largest investment and would be at least the second, I think, largest initial jobs announcement that we've ever had. So you're talking about a scale that might have been bigger initially on the job side. Now we don't know on the job side. We just know the initial, I don't want to say commitment, but projection from Ford. So what I'm trying to do is to be an adult, is to be rational, is to say, you know, this isn't what we were originally looking for. But then again, the federal government pulled the rug out of the EV economy, made it significantly more expensive to purchase an EV. So yes, those things are going to change. The project could have potentially been abandoned. It didn't. Ford said, we want them, and we think that there is a better future towards them. Now, we do need to work with Ford, and we are, as their plans are coming together, about the economic development incentive package. And we need to recognize two things. Number one, it looks like the guaranteed employment, at least, is going to go down and it's going to take a little longer, right? So there need to be some changes there. But the overall investment goes from $5.8 billion to about $7.8 billion. And so we've got to factor that in too, because those are the two biggest things that when we look at the amount of an incentive package that go into it, number of jobs and investment. One's gone up, the other may go down. Our job is to find the right level that's fair, that creates the right type of precedent that people can follow after. But listen, I'm not coming at this from a Democrat or a Republican angle. Currently, there are 1,600 people there. We're going to make sure that they still have employment. We've got job fairs coming up. We've got contacts that are being made with them right now. There's a letter sent out under my name to companies all over Kentucky saying these people are here, and we believe that there'll be 2,100 jobs, 18 months from now that are still there. So hopefully this is a net positive overall. But people need to wait and see what the final outcome is before it can be judged. But, you know, for Robert Stivers, who supported Brady with all he had, even when a Russian oligarch was suddenly a part of it, and there was never a single job there, and a factory never got built, to already having $5.8 billion of investment in Kentucky, to call it a boondoggle. Listen, it's going to work out. We got to be patient. It didn't come as fast as we wanted to. We can be a little disappointed in that. But our job is to see it through, to make sure all of our people keep their employment, and to make sure at the end of this, we've got a really good facility. Now, I do have some hope in that while the EV battery market has slowed, and by the way, that other investment still makes us the center of Ford's EV manufacturing. That'll be in what's LAP. The battery storage with data centers and everything else that are out there is booming. And so my hope there, and admittedly at the moment it's a hope, is that the demand is enough not just for Kentucky 1, but Kentucky 2, because from other people in this industry, they are sold out, pre-ordered for years to come. All right, we got Tom Latek from Kentucky Today. It has been too long since we've heard from Tom Latek. And Tom has forgotten how to use his phone. We'll go to Mason Brighton with Spectrum News. We'll come back and try to get Tom.
Hi there, Governor.
Go ahead,
just another
Mason.
follow-up on Blue Oval. Is there any appetite to include legislative leaders in the negotiations for what that new incentive package might look like?
Depending on which part of it that we're looking at. But sure, we've reached out. I think Rocky talked to both the Speaker and the Senate President, gave them the update of everything we know where we are right now, but it takes a little bit of patience. I mean, this thing fell apart, and now Ford is putting together all of its plans about what its commitment is. In the larger picture, when you look at their company, of tariffs and everything going on that impacts the auto industry. So sure, we worked together on putting together the original package, and we're willing to be fully transparent with them and talk to them on this one. But let's not attack, let's not kill a project that's still at 2,100 jobs, would be one of the largest job creation projects, and by far the largest investment we've ever seen. Let's work through it. Let's get to something in the end that benefits our people the best we can. Ian Hardwick, WHAS.
Thank you, Governor. The Wall Street Journal reported that Toyota is expecting to raise car prices this year after absorbing most of the tariffs last year. What effect do you think this will have on manufacturing of vehicles here in Kentucky? I know we got Ford in Louisville and then Toyota, of course, in Georgetown.
Well, Toyota has invested significantly in their Georgetown plant over the past several years. So I don't expect that to slow down. When you look at multiple $1 billion plus or close to $1 billion investments, this is their flagship. Georgetown is the single largest manufacturing plant for Toyota in the world, and it makes the Camry, which is a pretty popular car. I think it's lessening the Lexus production. It's now got the RAV4 hybrid, I believe, which is also a very popular, I don't know if you call that a truck, an SUV, a mini SUV. It's a crossover. Thank you to the First Lady. No, I thus far don't have any indication that it will slow down production at our facility. But it does show you what tariffs do. It makes life harder on the American people. If your car's going to cost more at a time when you're already struggling, it just creates more challenges. And like I said on Fox News, when the anchor said, well, don't you think it's wrong that there aren't any American cars on the streets of Japan? And I said, well, I don't think that's completely true, but it's more complicated. And she said, how's it more complicated? And I said, well, the largest Toyota plant in the world isn't in Japan. It's in Kentucky. And that's part of how international trade works. Isaiah Kim Martinez.
Thank you, Governor. I just wanted to ask a quick question about the Rural Hospital Transformation Fund / plan. Can you explain with those $213 million how that'll be divvied up across the state? Will it be based on need? And can you just give more details on that?
Yeah, we'll send you the specific plan and then an executive summary, which is in our release. We had to identify specific areas that it goes to. So it's not like it's a flexible fund that says this rural hospital's struggling, because it was never a rural hospital fund. That's what they said in Congress to get the votes. This is a rural hospital transformation fund. And Dr. Oz even wrote a op-ed to USA Today that said he wasn't going to come to the aid of rural hospitals that were struggling. He said he wasn't going to put a Band-Aid on something that's bleeding. I think that's wrong, and that's why I have a rural hospital fund proposed in my budget. But what this does mean is in specific areas that are challenging in rural America, we're going to have more dollars. I think a lot of what that fund enabled is telehealth. Now, listen, telehealth is helpful, but it shouldn't be something that moves all the jobs from rural America to urban America. And if you live in a city, you see a doctor, but if you live outside the city, you see a screen. So we're going to make sure that we put all those dollars to the best use we can. And let me give a little credit to the Trump administration. They approved our plan in full. But still, there were limitations on what we could apply for. So hopefully what's included in my budget can make up for some of that. Do we think we have Tom back? Okay, then the final question is from Darnell at WKYT. How do I feel about the progress of the medical marijuana program a year later when there are a few dispensaries open across the Commonwealth? A lot of people have medical cards and there's still need for product on the shelves. I'm not satisfied. I want it to speed up. We're pushing for it, but the crop's got to grow. It's got to be processed. The restrictions inside the law were aimed at a very secure system, which is important, but that also meant it took a little more time than we would have liked. I expect it to pick up significantly, but I'm not going to be satisfied until we are at 100% capacity. All right, we will see you back next week at the same time for the next Team Kentucky update. Everybody stay safe.